Welcome back to the Southwest RV YouTube channel. Tonight we are kicking off a maintenance video series for the Honda TRX 90X. And we're going to start out tonight with the oil change. And the next video in the series will be cleaning and lubing and adjusting the chain. So stay tuned for that one. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with the oil change. As a reminder, we use SunF tires on our ATVs. And SunF has noticed that we do that, and so they've provided a promo code, Southwest ORV, that you can use at checkout to save 5% on your entire tire order. That sounds kind of funny, your entire tire order. Anyway, sunf.com, Southwest ORV is the promo code, and they've got a huge variety of ATV tires. We're generally able to find whatever we need for any of our machines. The supplies we're going to need to perform the oil change on this TRX 90 is, I like to put down a packing blanket to lay on because it's more comfortable and clean. I've got a drain pan under here already, an old shower liner. That will be some concrete protection in case some oil spills. I've got a handful of clean rags, a funnel, and a 3/8 drive with a 17mm socket and an extension that makes it easier to get to. And we've got our Honda GN4 1040 motor oil that we're going to use. Let's get started. Okay, first step, we are going to remove the dipstick and wipe it off. And then we will set it aside. But yes, we do pull the dipstick before we pull the drain plug. And I will often wipe it off and then set it up here on the seat, and it will stay there. All right, let's go down below. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is pop open the vent here so that oil doesn't start splashing out from the center of the drain pan. And then this should not be too awful tight. So we'll go ahead and crack that loose. Oh, good. That was perfect. I'm going to have a rag handy here, because oil will get on my hand after this comes out, and that's okay, it's not a problem. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to let that drain for several minutes until we are confident that it's drained completely. In the meantime, I'm going to use this clean rag to clean up the drain plug as well as the crush washer that's there in my hand. Even though there's still a slow drip, I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to wipe up here and just clean the sealing surface before I reinstall this drain plug. I'll go ahead and thread that in by hand. And then, I don't use a torque wrench when I tighten these up. What I do is I hold the wrench right here with my hand right up against it. I don't come out here because this gives you a lot of power. I hold right here and I go ahead and I snug it up nice and tight from right there, and that's enough. It has always been enough, and it will be enough. And that way I'm not over tightening it. So I go about as tight as I can go from that, with that short grip length on the ratchet handle. And then I clean up under here so there's no extra oil to attract dirt. Two things to note. The first one that we didn't mention, make sure that you have a sealing washer here. We tend to reuse our sealing washers with success. Sometimes if they've gotten marred, you'll start to get a slow drip after you seal it back up. If that's the case, unfortunately, you've got to replace that. You may lose a quart of oil and have to do it again. But tonight we didn't have any extra sealing washers on hand, so we just reused that one, and I'm confident it'll be fine. Second note, there's two bolts here, and it's pretty common for folks. I mean, I've made this mistake. Jeremy's made this mistake in the past to pull this one thinking this is the drain plug, but it's not. This is a cover to the timing chain adjustment. And so this is the bolt that you need to use. This is the drain plug for changing the oil. Next thing I'm going to do, using a clean rag, I'm going to wipe down the funnel to make sure there's no dust or dirt going in with the oil, and then I will very carefully clean around the rim here to see that dirt that came off. I'm going to carefully clean without knocking any down inside. So we'll place our funnel right there, and then we are going to attempt to add 0.75 quarts of this oil to the crankcase. Again, this is Honda GN4 1040 oil. Okay, I think we'll probably call it there good for starters. We don't want to overfill it because draining it can be a pain and a mess. So we'll err on the side of a hair low. We'll go ahead and reinsert the clean dipstick. We will open the garage door and start the quad for a moment, let it idle and circulate the oil. Then we'll let it sit for a couple minutes to drain back down, and then we'll check the level and see where it is. Okay, so we added oil to the machine, we reinserted the dipstick, we started it, idled it for a few minutes, gave it a couple revs, turned it back off, we've let it sit. Now we are going to remove the dipstick. We are going to wipe it clean. Again, clean rag, it's important. Now we are going to reinsert the dipstick, but not screw it in. Pull it back out, have a look at the dipstick and see where the oil level is. All right, what I'm seeing is that it is on the dipstick, but it's in the very bottom of the operating range, down there at the bottom of the dipstick, so we need to add more oil to the crankcase. Adding just a little bit more, we'll see if that gets us where we want to be. Wipe that down, get it back in there. Pull it back out. Oh, that looks perfect. That is right to the top of the hash area here on the dipstick. We'll do it one more time. Right to the top, that's perfect. All right, so our oil level is good. I'm going to secure the dipstick in place. Make sure everything's cleaned up here. Now I'm going to glance underneath and just make sure we don't have a leak or a drip under there at the drain plug, and we don't. So that's good. Now we will make a note of what we did, the oil that we used when we performed the oil change, and we will keep that for our own records so that we'll know when we need to service the machine again. Thanks again for watching. That does it for the oil change. Stay tuned for the next video in our TRX 90 maintenance video series, which will be cleaning and lubing and adjusting the drive chain.